Hello, I am Potato Cat and welcome to my channel. Today we're playing The Letter. Previously, you heard some real truths from Luke. And we were like, oh wow, maybe I have been clinging on to too much. And then we run into Becca and Ashton. Not Becca, I'm Becca. Isabella and Ashton fighting in the morning because I guess Isabella was looking up what was going on with her other coworkers and found out there's a link, and then Ashton's like, coincidence, don't do that, you're a citizen, later stupid. And we're like, actually, we saw it too. And then Ashton's like, yo, you're joking. And then he's like, nope, we're not. And then Isabel's like, I will save everybody, and ran off. And now Ashton's doing the sad face thing. Pretty much where we left off. Alright, let us continue. Breaking the silence with one of his sharp exhales before reaching up to pinch the bridge of his nose in a gesture of frustration and surrender.
Did you really have to tell her that?
Yes.
What do you want to hear from me then? That everything's fine?
No, I want all of you to stop putting these ideas in her head. None of it is helping. Never mind. Don't worry about her. I'll bring her back here.
He's already poised to leave when my own instinct takes over. I reach for him, gripping his elbow with the same unyielding grip the action prompted by voices whispering at the back of my mind. He's already made it clear he's not going to believe me, but he deserves a word of caution. Who knows where all of this will take us, how all of this will end. You shouldn't be caught off guard, beliefs notwithstanding.
Ash, I know you don't believe, but I've seen something.
I didn't mean to click on that. I feel like I've been making that accident a lot more in her route than anybody else's route. Log. There it is.
Ash, I know you don't believe in those things she's saying. And you know me. I'm less inclined to believe in those things as you do. But I've seen something.
Indeed, we have.
There's something strange going on here. You don't have to buy it. If you don't want to listen to me, fine. But please, try to hear her out. It's bad enough that Isabella goes off like this without telling anyone. I'm just worried something might happen to her if she keeps at it.
Hey, if we were more, if like us as a group was more open to listening, then maybe she wouldn't go run off by herself all the time.
Talk to her, okay?
As if she trusts me enough for that.
Yeah, because you keep doing that stuff.
Doesn't the fact that she approached you first about this, instead of me, already say a lot?
A different kind of trust. Granted, implicity, and never spoken. Implicitly, never spoken, sometimes too big, too fragile to last. I fall silent for a long moment as he turns it over in his mind. In the end, all he manages to offer is a small nod before he departs, and a promise at least listen to her without teasing her, or without teasing or the jibes. A favor for me, and the least he could do for her. This is as much as I can do for him as well, until I understood what's happening myself. Tonight, hopefully, where this all started, will provide the answer I'm looking for. Story updated, also mansion. Okay. The 28th. There it is. Isabella and Ashton arrived at Sullenwell having an argument about the missing BRC employees investigation. Annoyed by the notes, Rebecca interfered, but annoyed by the noise, Rebecca interfered, and in the end asked Ashton to keep an open mind. Except the whole thing's off to a bad start, and all of a sudden whatever Isabella claims dwelling in the mansion becomes the least of my concerns. Of all the cabbies in Luxborn, I have a chance upon the superstitious one. Still not as bad as finding out your car's starter refuses to crank on when it was still working this morning, yes. But it's equally as frustrating when you're forced to walk the rest of the way. All because the driver got spooked. Isabella and him will get along so well. I do get his reasons. After all, I've had my fair taste in the bazaar lately, all of which might have been brought upon by that letter Isabella found here. But you'd think he'd at least be charitable enough to take me a little closer to the house itself, not a distant 15 minutes away from it by foot. Good thing I'm not wearing anything too formal or constricting. Otherwise, a short walk would have likely put me in a bad mood long before I have to suffer in a room full of strangers tonight. Although, this soon proves to be a problem the second the driveway comes into view, and I near the entrance. Severely underdressed is a total understatement to describe how I look. Cars with more than my own apartment and childhood home combined line the mansion's front yard. Men and women decked out in their best also flock near the entrance. Most are eager for the festivities to start, while some are simply idling about, enjoying the warm afternoon sun before it sets. But once the woman standing at the front porch speaks, her undivided attention immediately shifts to her. Their undivided attention immediately shifts to her. Presumably, Miss Wright, from the confident manner she holds herself among present company. This, despite keeping a far simpler appearance than the rest of her own guests, or not having her husband beside her. A trait worthy of utmost admiration at best. At worst, she is the envy of every woman, the subject of every gossip in Luxborn.
Welcome everyone!
And Mom said we could have been good friends. I can't even picture myself mingling with the kind of guest she has. Though, I admit, she does seem familiar, now that I've seen her this close. Memories of sitting in the vanity, not mine, being dressed in clothes too fancy for my taste. They flit briefly in my mind, until her cheerful tone rises above the buzz of her enraptured audience again.
Please, make yourselves at home!
I wish I could share her enthusiasm, really. But being surrounded by all this extravagance, for the lack of a better term, really makes me dread how the rest of the night might go. I shouldn't have let Luke's words affect me like that. I should have just gone ahead and asked Ashton like I planned. If he were here, then I wouldn't have to...
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
See, I knew he'd be there. The rest of that thought dies in my mind at once. A moment of astonishment overcomes me before confusion sets in seconds later. It takes another for my body to catch up. Once it does, when I finally turn to see it for myself, it is his familiar mop of hair that catches my eyes first. And there he is, almost an arm's reach, if it isn't for the guest standing between us. Ashton Frey, standing in the Ermengarde Mansion's driveway, with an air too lackadaisical for someone who absolutely abhors parties of any form, or has any business here, as far as I know. The picture it forms is too bizarre for me that my mouth speaks out ahead of any coherent thought.
Ashton?
He swivels on his heels with an equal puzzled face. An odd expression flashes momentarily across it once he sees me, though. He blinks it away before I can figure out what it is exactly.
Becca, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
I was invited.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
We're not.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
Who? That in itself is weird coming from him. It doesn't help that he isn't even making an effort to spare a glance my way when he answers. Instead, they're focused at some point in the crowd, his gaze darting between people walking past us until a small frown forms on his face.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you then?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Well, if that's the case, maybe you and I can...
Chief?
Ashton, what's...
Unexpectedly, he places a hand on my shoulder, stopping me mid-sentence. He still has the distracted look on him, except this time, his eyes are sharper, as if he has found what or who he's been searching for among the throng of partygoers earlier.
Sorry, Becca. I need to... There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about...
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this. Anyway, I gotta go. See ya. Be careful, okay?
Amid the smile he hastily throws my way, with a frown of my own. What does he mean by that? Yeah, what does he mean by that? Be careful. But before I can ask already, he has turned his back from me and is walking away without a single explanation whatsoever. In some desperate effort, I try to catch up to him, if only to know what warranted this sudden departure and his odd warning at the end.
Hey, be careful! About what
Only for my attempts to be interrupted by a muffled ringing from my pocket. Mom's cheerful voice greets me as soon as I answer.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
The conversation itself doesn't last long. Just a simple hello. I remind to enjoy the party and send her regards to their old student. But when the call ends and I go to look up, Ashton's already nowhere in sight. With a sigh, admittedly a little disappointment, I tuck my mobile back into my pocket and head inside. Even with familiar company, however coincidental this meeting is, this is somehow shaping up to be a terrible evening. The party hits a full swing an hour later. I wonder how much we get to see of the party. With the host's opening remarks given, still no sign of her husband, the poor woman, and the guests promptly fed, the band shifts the melody to a livelier tune. Soon laughter and the rhythmic tapping of shoes fill the room, all in accordance to the lifting strains of music. It seems fun, I admit. Fascinating at a certain moment, the flurry of dancers making the music their own, almost with no care in the world. If I weren't so indisposed, I'd have joined the crowd for so or two. There isn't a lack of invitations, anyway. Plenty of them, in fact, with some asking more than once. It's only my stubborn refusal that prevents me from joining them. And I can. A single nod is all it'll take, and the evening would have been far enjoyable for me. But pride in my own silly hopes, the thoughts of being seen with one of them by him, curbs that, as much as I hate to admit it, because doing so also means outright acknowledging the douche's claims. That he has to be the one to tell me, that still sends my blood boiling. I would have preferred someone more agreeable, less of an arse. It's hard It's a hard truth to swallow, especially when the very person at the center of it makes denial difficult. Can't even spare me a minute of his attention, or a single glance at me the whole evening. Hell, Zachary might have spoken more words to me. The big guy's covering the event to boot. But at least he's managed to slip in a conversation or two between takes, or a small wave of his hand when he passes by. What's Ashton's excuse? He's been flitting in and out of sight the whole time. One moment he's hanging around a small group, and another he's hovering around the string band. Just a second ago, he's wolfing down some deviled eggs by the buffet table, a glass of wine in hand. The next thing I know, he's gone. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he doesn't want to be with any of his friends. Is it because his boss is here? What's the big deal about that? It has never bothered him before.
I swear, the next person who asks, I'm dancing the night away with. Ashton can go fuck himself.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Way to say things out loud. Her voice almost makes me jump. Too focused on the gobshite wandering around the ballroom and my own annoyance to notice. Has she heard any of the profanities I mumbled? That was not mumbling, that was yelling. Or she's taken notice of my discomfort. I'm saying discomfort. That's not that word, but it is now. She makes no comment on it, merely greeting me with a smile when I turn my attention to her. Miss Hannah Wright gives off a whole different air when she's not speaking to an audience. Homely, a bit too friendly for my liking. But I guess it comes from being raised in such an environment and having to deal with pompous, snooty people. Though, I suppose nothing has really changed from years ago. I remember her carrying herself in the same manner during that one and only visit. Does she remember any of it? I won't be surprised if she doesn't. It has taken me a while myself. She's probably met a lot of people like little Becky throughout the years. Might have already forgotten about me or my parents. Okay, if she forgot about your parents, she wouldn't have sent an invitation, now would she? People like her thrive on connections after all. Nevertheless, I return her smile, awkward and stiff as it may be.
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenu, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
It takes me a while to realize who she's talking about, until Ashton walks by again, in closer proximity than any of the times he has done so far this evening. Still without a look of acknowledgement our way, though, even if Mrs. Wright speaks loud enough to catch the attention of anyone within earshot.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other.
Yep, we've had this conversation before.
Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
Nope. This isn't the first time someone has made that assumption. Almost every student I've had in the past did. My coworkers, more often than not, assume he is. A few of my neighbors also think we're an item. That's because you obsess over him. And so people are like, well, it makes sense if they're dating, and they come to that conclusion. Not that arsehole. No, sorry. Not that Ashton has ever reacted to those. He's been quite indifferent about it, in fact. Still, the heat of blush creeps up on my cheeks. And now ready, despite wanting it to happen so badly myself.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
We just really, really want him to be, like, really badly.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
We have, though. I do my best to summon a straight face. Of course, her good cheer, it easily falters.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
The answer is yes. To both.
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property.
Yes, that would be very inconvenient.
I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
It's infectious, in a way. No sooner I find myself enjoying our chat more than I've imagined myself to. Although her attention briefly wavers at one point, she remains a good companion. Even more, once I mention who my parents are, her face quickly lights up and fondness graces her face, despite the meeting from several years ago being a short one. And of course, there are some things we really can't avoid talking about. After all, one of the few things I remember her asking me the moment she spotted little Becky in the room. Do you have a boyfriend? In retrospect, it's an odd thing to talk about as children, but there are loads we could have started with.
Yes, oh, I remember you. You were the cutest little thing with glasses.
Oh, Rebecca had glasses. Can't imagine little Becca with glasses.
And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A.
Perhaps Ashton? That starts with an A. I believe I still haven't the clothes she gave me, chosen all so I could impress him. And even back then, Ashton has always been denser than a rock, and that one attempt to get him to notice backfires spectacularly. Sure, he's keen. He's a detective, for heaven's sake. But feelings more often than not escape him.
What was it again?
Did I skip again? No, I didn't. Good.
Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
Alfred. Austin. Just other A names. Which makes this whole talk more embarrassing. And the more names she lists off, the more my discomfort grows until my smile turns into a grimace. What will she think of me? Here she is, married to a man she most probably loves at that. While I'm still stuck in the same place, yearning for the same person.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years! I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know? Keep it down.
They most certainly do not care about you.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
She says that, but for a short moment, a hint of pity flickers in her eyes. I take that as a chance to change the subject, for anything more can be said over the matter. I haven't even figured out how I should feel about the things Luke told me. Now I'm getting dragged into a similar discussion.
So, this is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Though, to be frank, I doubt she'll be so willing to pass this up. The topic has already captured her attention.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Isn't it?
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own.
We all heard this. Hypocrisy, that's what this is. At least she acknowledges that. How dare I preach about something when it's exactly what I've been doing? And then... Ooh, is something spooky going to happen, or is a fight going to happen? I can't tell which came first. I don't remember. It's been a hot minute. I go on and act as if I'm entitled to any of it. That, by virtue of us growing up together, he must return whatever I feel for him. That he's not allowed to look at another because I'm the one who has stayed by his side the longest. Oh good, she sees it now. When, in the first place, Ashton has always been his own person. This is something I cannot force on him. I can only hold on to these, take care of it, until the time comes I can confess it to him. Great. If he reciprocates, but if he can't, if he won't, selfish. I've been too selfish. How laughable that Luke's words still strike true up until now.
But what do I know?
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about.
At one point, maybe, I would have easily agreed to that. However, the past weeks have also seen changes in the way I view things. As nice as these things sound, turns out, whatever I previously know may not even be true for other people or for myself. It is sobering and almost funny how things I might have said with much certainty before now has doubts muddying each of them. There will be a time to mull about these later, because when a hush suddenly descends in the room, a whole different issue rears. Especially when fucking Luke, strides into the now quiet ballroom, fashionably late, and oozing with the same pompous mien he has always carried around with him.
Good evening, ladies and gents. I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the right.
Yeah, blah blah. We heard that before. Before long, Hannah leaves my side to join him. And it doesn't take a genius to piece it all together.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode.
Yep.
Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your so, enjoy the feast that has been
Yep.
Enjoy the rest of
Yep.
your
I know I should be listening to that, but we heard it before. His attitude, the manner he carries himself around people, his unfamiliarity with that part of the city. Of fucking course. I should have known. Although I'm partly at fault here, tabloids and the gossip columns have never been really my thing. I should have also expected that wherever Luke fucking Wright is, some sort of drama will sure follow. Dun dun dun. I'm kidding. We know what's gonna happen. It's not really a shocker. We played Hana's route. Yeah, so we get to see how the party turns out in the next episode. I'm Tina Cat. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon.